The Red Bull rig has so much aura, man, and the races here are always cinema. And the Austrian Grand Prix for 2026 delivered as expected. A bit of a roller coaster for Red Bull and Max fans, with a massive upgrade that didn't work as expected at first. But let me take you through the data review for the race at the Red Bull ring. I'm MJ and welcome to MJF1. For practice this weekend, Mercedes looked really good between Kimi and George. They were so close, but I would still put my money on Kimi any day. Red Bull had a very tricky practice with putting the car together. Their cars just kept dying in the pit lane in FP1, and that was not very inspiring. Max kept complaining on each of his runs. But to be honest, that Red Bull is not a slow car, especially in Max's hands. And for our best sectors from the three practices, it showed Kimi to be the outright faster Mercedes driver, with George coming in second and Lewis Hamilton in P3. Lando and Max complete the top 5, but let's see how all of this translates into qualifying. The Racing Bulls looked pretty good in Q2, clearly the best of the midfield. As for the Red Bulls, by this point I thought we were done for, with Max securing P10 and Gasly only missing out on the top 10 by 0.04 seconds. What the hell were we doing? We will have a look at the driver potentials in a moment, but consider subscribing, it really helps me grow the channel. Come Q3, Max finally found something in that car, because he was trading fractions of a second with the Mercedes boys. And in the closing seconds of the session, Ferrari joined the party as well, as Lewis Hamilton took provisional pole by 0.006 seconds from Kimi. That might have been the most beautiful and aggressive lap I've seen recently. Awesome stuff, man. Leclerc as well got a taste of provisional pole from Lewis. Max was definitely going to take pole from the Ferraris, but that damn car malfunctioned with the aero apparently, and he ended up spinning out in the last few corners. But regardless, I think the Mercedes boys were going to secure a 1-2 this weekend. George Russell ended up getting pole, even with a yellow flag that should have compromised his third sector. Driver potentials also suggest that George Russell was definitely getting pole this weekend, even with that final lap that was slightly compromised. Max was likely good enough for P4, with Charles in P3 and Lewis completing the top 5. Kimi Antonelli seemed to have struggled a bit in terms of qualifying, as he was the biggest loser in terms of qualifying potential. Race day, hot day, but luckily, no questionable tyre strategies from the leaders of the grid. On lights out, George Russell feared that inside line so much, but he knew exactly what to do to leave the Ferraris behind him. And they looked very racy. Beautiful views with Lewis and Charles chasing that Mercedes. Meanwhile, Kimi was struggling to keep the car on track, and behind him, Max and the McLarens were busy negotiating for P5. Red Bull was actually quick on Sunday, especially with Max. By lap 2, he had found his way past Kimi and Leclerc with almost a "through goes Hamilton," but no, it was more like a cut and paste from two different books. While Kimi was learning his way around one of the best wheel-to-wheel drivers on the grid, the best drivers in F1 were also getting close to each other. And by lap 10, they were ready to deliver cinema. They gave us so many moments in such a short space of time. These two do not like being behind the other. And to be 100% fair, Lewis left no room for Max here, and that's why Max complained. But if the roles were reversed, Max wasn't leaving any room either. That's completely valid from Lewis in my books. But sadly, before we could see more of this, Lewis' tires were so cooked and he had to change them, and letting Max through to chase Russell in P1. Lap 19, Red Bull called Max in to change his tires and preparing us for round 2 between himself and Hamilton. And by lap 22, they repeated the same pass and repass, but this time Max knew what to do to secure the position. Take it on the inside and not try to take it on the outside like last time. And this time, Lewis didn't have an answer for him. On lap 24, Sainz's car died and Mercedes decided to ruin Kimi's race by pitting him before a proper safety car was called. I think he was actually more of a threat to Max than Max was a threat to Russell. Ferrari also decided they could one-up Mercedes by pitting Lewis again for soft tires. Why? When we got back to racing, Max was free to chase Russell and Kimi had a little bit of work to get past Charles again and go get Max. And Max's stint from here was so strong. And watching those seconds come down between him and Russell was so satisfying. But Red Bull was about to throw all of that away. By lap 44, when Russell pitted, it was really between him and Max, but Mercedes pulled that trigger first. Max was immediately slower after he was set free to lead the race. His pace had fallen off and I was hoping they'd pit him any time from now, but no. This team decided to pull a Ferrari and hope to pit later for soft tires. Why? And from here onwards, it was a terrible run for Max, especially against Kimi behind him. Kimi was so quick, he was catching up with so much speed until Max pitted on lap 50 of the race. The race win from here onwards was really about Max catching George for P1 versus Kimi chasing Max for P2. And fortunately for George, there weren't enough laps or pace in Max for them to fight it out for P1. And the PowerPoint boy wrapped up the race with a win at the Austrian Grand Prix, with Max in P2 and Kimi very close in P3, but not close enough. And that was the Austrian Grand Prix for 2026. Absolutely wonderful track. It was a great Sunday for George Russell and probably Red Bull, given how the weekend started off for them. I would rate this raid an 8 out of 10. It was a good one, but nothing special from what this sport can deliver. Let me know what you think of this video by leaving me a comment down below and consider subscribing. And I will catch you at the next best track of the sport, Silverstone.